The goal of a business is to create value for its owners, its customers, and its employees. And if it meets its objectives, it's actually making loads of money for its owners, right? We've all seen successful businessmen like the late Bailobai of Sierra Leone, like Aliko Dangote of Nigeria, and the megastars of Silicon Valley like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos make a killing. But businesses only create value and make money for a limited number of people. What is more important is the value created in the public sector that can impact more lives. That is why we need to pay attention to the value created in the public sector, because it impacts masses of people and all of us every day. So if we pay attention to the value created for people, society, and us Sierra Leoneans, we will ensure that we have a better Sierra Leone and also a better country. My name is Alfred Akibo-Betts, and I'd like to talk to you about how gains in the public sector can actually impact and transform Sierra Leone and Africa as a whole. The reason why I've chosen this topic is because for 16 years, I actually had a front row seat to actually experience how the selfish interest and mindset of a few individuals can impact the country as a whole. We all here, I believe, have nightmare stories about dealing with people in the public sector. Whether it's dealing with that traffic police officer who will tell you that you have smooth tires because they want to bribe, or clearing goods from the ports and obviously meeting considerable delays, or trying to get a permit from Parliament. I come from a family of values. My mother sitting there, God bless her, she was a teacher and later became mayoress of our city. And in the olden days, I guess she'll be running around here with all the importance she had. She instilled in us the discipline and good training. And trust me, to deal with Kangait's Alfred was a big headache. That means this Alfred here, not you, Alfred. She motivated me to be the person I am today. My father, may his soul rest in peace, was a tough guy. His life was politics and the public sector. He loved his job. From a young student activist to become a parliamentarian, to have various ministerial positions, he later became mayor of our city. In 1980, when he was Minister of State Finance, he actually found out that hundreds of workers, ghost workers, were actually put on the government payroll that were not working for government, making millions of leones being lost. And that was called the Vouchergate scandal. At first, he was hailed. You know how things are in Sierra Leone. But a few weeks and few months later, he was actually chased down and he had to run for his life out of the country and seek asylum in the United Kingdom. 2-year-old me, don't calculate my age, had to go with my mother to the UK to be with him. So from that time, I actually understood what integrity meant and what the family name and image actually meant to me, and obviously shape my life in the future. When I joined the public sector some 19 years ago, the first thing my father said to me was, leave that job and go find a job in the private sector. I didn't listen to him, and I stayed for 16 years. For those 16 years, I loved the job. I loved what I was doing because I believe I created impact for all Sierra Leoneans. What I did was to collect tax. I know we don't like hearing the word tax, right? But I'm a tax man. And one of the things I'm proud of is the fact that I led the implementation of goods and services tax, which coincidentally government collected $100 million from it last year. So meaning that I'm always proud to know that I continue to have the impact on our lives. However, having that front row seat and having that privilege to serve meant that I could actually see the mindsets of selfishness, greed, and corruption. I've actually witnessed situations where a mining deal has been thwarted by self-interest for a period of about 1 to 2 years, meaning that we've lost millions of dollars over that time. I've actually had situations where seeing that somebody from the shipping industry, a foreign direct investment that was supposed to come into Sierra Leone, because of the bureaucracies of our systems and obviously self-interest, had to pull out of Sierra Leone, costing us jobs. So we now need to talk about the two vital things that we need to change in the public sector. And the first is corruption, and the second is inefficient services. Talking about corruption, from 2017 to 2020, Sierra Leone, through the public sector, lost 509 billion leones. To make it fearful, as we say in Sierra Leone, it's actually $500 billion leones, which translates to about $55 million. Imagine how many children that could have been sent or provided first-class education to impact our lives. Imagine that if that money could have been used to build a village hospital in a town like Bomsamba in Potloko, that woman will not lose her 5-year-old child or a 3-year-old child. So it shows that what we do or what people do in the public sector actually impacts our lives. Corruption is what caused the deforestation of our mountains that led to the deaths in 2017 for the mudslide. Corruption is the reason why we lost millions of dollars when we were fighting Ebola. I know Yvonne didn't, obviously. She did a great job there. And also the coronavirus. Corruption is the reason why if you have a medical emergency, there's a high probability that you will die in one of the hospitals in Sierra Leone. And that's a fact. Sierra Leone is a poor country. We're currently ranked 182 over 189 in the Human Development Index. 6 out of 10 of us, maybe not this crowd, are actually poor. So what it means is that each and every money we spend through the public sector can actually save the next life at Connaught Hospital. The way corruption and greed starts, it's the little things. When you're in the public sector, you want to go on an overseas trip and spend 2 or 3 days extra to have per diem, right? You want a fancy office. You want the latest Toyota Prado. That money could be used to impact lives that we cannot really imagine. So that is very, very important. Public service is not to amass money for yourself and your family. Public service is ensuring that you provide that service and be there for us, the citizens. Interestingly, this is similar, unfortunately also, it's similar in all countries in Africa. In 2019, the United Nations estimated that $88 billion actually leaves the shore of Africa through illicit financial flows. And obviously, corruption is one of the main causes of that, right? Unfortunately for Sierra Leone, when you take that amount or the impact relative to our country, we are in the top 5. And that's not the statistics we actually want to be in. So it's necessary that we think of how we're going to move things forward. Oh my, let's now talk about service delivery. Excellent service delivery when you're doing business is paramount, right? But we don't usually have that in the private sector. Providing services to citizens is very, very critical for anybody that works in the private sector, public sector. Helping businesses get the permits they need is very, very crucial. It means that we could have investments into the country that can create jobs and obviously impact our lives. But one thing I will tell you is the fact that once you step your foot into the public sector and you're not aware, if you're not self-aware, you think that everybody that you deal with are your subjects. You always behave like the king and queen that you are not. You always behave like you're royalty. So you have to always pinch yourself to ensure that you are aware, to know that you're there for a different purpose. All of us, and some of us here, would have obviously tried to access some government services, right? I believe we've tried to do that many times. How many times have you gone to a public office and somebody say, I get for go lunch? And when they come back, they give you enough attitude, right? What it means is that, it means that if somebody has a scholarship, a young adult has a scholarship, and he can't get his passport on time, he can actually lose that scholarship opportunity that can impact his or her life for a very, very long time. People in the public sector should understand that they're providing a service to us, which is very, very, very important. Now, looking at how we can change, how we can make things better, I have a message for 2 sets of people. First of all, there's no way I am going to talk. I know we try to concentrate on youth, but let's first start with a message to the public sector. First of all, with my experience, I've noticed that when you go into the public sector, nobody talks to you about service, right? I believe when you take a job in the private sector, everybody talks to you about service because they want customers to come in. People need to be trained from the start for them to be able to understand that they're there to provide service to all of us. They need to be trained regularly. Now we have the internet. It means that regular refreshers could be done to ensure that people are up to date, to be able to know that they're there to provide service. That's one. Secondly, our leaders need to set an example. They need to be radical in the example they set. It's not only speaking about corruption and transparency. You need to think about how do you publish each and every money you spend in your office so people see everything you're spending. You need to ensure that people don't withdraw monies from the Consolidated Revenue Fund by cash, right? You need to ensure that you think strongly about whether you're going to stay in the fancy hotel or whether you need a first-class ticket, right? Or whether you're going to review your per diem policy. These are crucial things. The late President Magufuli of Tanzania did some of these things, and now we're seeing the impact in Tanzania. He wasn't popular, but these things have to be done. Thirdly, we need to ensure that we digitize our processes, that they could be monitored all the time by us, the citizens. For example, in Rwanda, they have a system called Irembo. And Irembo ensures that each and every citizen can access government services, obviously not 24 hours, but all throughout the day. And in addition to accessing it, what happens is that each and every government department is monitored to ensure that their service levels are at a very, very high level. Now, to our youth, you are the future. Firstly, if you want to take up a position in the public sector, or you're currently in the public sector, you could be a change maker. You should ensure that in your own little corner, you don't take a bribe. In your own little corner, you ensure that you have the integrity that will make you a difference, to ensure that you're also able to influence others. Secondly, and lastly, when it comes to the youth, we could start a revolution. Can I still consider myself a youth? No. But the youth can start a revolution. We always talk about the golden generation, but I do believe that we have a young generation that could actually be a platinum generation. What it means, it means that you need to make the sacrifice. We've seen young adults like Vanessa Nakate of Uganda, the climate change activist, and Joshua Kong of Hong Kong, fighting against the political status quo, making a difference. What it means is that you could actually challenge your local leaders, start with that, right? If they're messing up in your community. It means that you could ensure that your voice is heard on social media. It also ensures, because we always look at our political system, and we all know our political system is almost like a two-way thing when it comes to the party level. But what it means is that you could actually create positive change in those political frameworks. To end, I will end with my favorite quote, which actually relates to this topic. It says, service to others is the rent you pay for your time here, for your room here on earth. And it was said by Muhammad Ali. Thank you very much for listening.